Hello, I am Neerja, an Ayurveda practitioner, a yoga therapist, and a human values educator. Today, I want to talk about mindfulness and health, but through an Ayurvedic lens that often gets missed. Many people I meet are already doing the right things. They meditate, they understand stress, they try to eat well, and yet they still feel unsettled in their bodies. Sleep is light, digestion is unpredictable, energy fluctuates. The mind stays busy even when life itself isn't particularly demanding. Ayurveda helps explain why this happens. Because in Ayurveda, mindfulness is not defined by what you do for 10 or 20 minutes a day. It is defined by the state your system is living in most of the time. Mindfulness is not just mental awareness. In modern language, mindfulness is usually framed as a mental skill. Observing thoughts, noticing emotions, staying present. Ayurveda doesn't dismiss this, but it doesn't stop there. From an Ayurvedic perspective, awareness must include the body, digestion, sleep, breathing patterns, energy cycles, the pace at which you move through the day. These are not separate from mindfulness. They are how mindfulness shows up physically. When these rhythms are disturbed, Ayurveda often describes it as an imbalanced Vata, the principle of movement, change, and activity in the body and mind. So when Vata is balanced, there is clarity, creativity, and adaptability. And when Vata becomes excessive, the system becomes scattered, the mind races, sleep becomes light, digestion becomes irregular, the nervous system stays alert. This is why many people feel mentally aware but physically still unsettled. So, why awareness itself changes the system? In Ayurveda, awareness is not treated as a philosophy, it is treated as a therapeutic tool because awareness stabilizes Vata. When someone begins to notice how they actually feel after meals, or how their energy drops late afternoon, or how overstimulation affects their sleep, the system starts to slow down. Not dramatically, not instantly, but measurably. This slowing is important because excess Vata thrives on speed, irregularity, and constant change. When awareness begins steadiness, Vata begins to settle. And when Vata settles, digestion improves, sleep deepens, and the mind becomes less reactive. This is why Ayurveda does not begin with rigid rules. It begins with observation. Because awareness naturally restores order. Rhythm matters more than the willpower. One of Ayurveda's most practical teachings is the importance of rhythm. The body responds far more to predictability than to intention. When daily life is irregular, different sleep times, rushed meals, constant switching, Vata increases. And that increase doesn't always feel like anxiety, but it may feel like also functional but tired, capable but not grounded. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, mindfulness includes respecting timing, waking around the same time, most of the days at least, eating meals at predictable hours, allowing evenings to slow instead of intensify. These are not lifestyle trends, they are Vata pacifying signals. When rhythm returns, the nervous system no longer needs to stay alert forever. That reduction in internal movement is what allows repair to happen. So, why mindfulness without embodiment doesn't hold? Many people meditate regularly and feel confused when their physical health doesn't improve. Ayurveda would say that mindfulness must reach the body to stabilize Vata. Awareness needs to reach the gut, the breath, the senses, the daily routine. When mindfulness stays abstract, Vata remains active. When mindfulness is embodied, Vata settles. This is when people begin to notice fewer racing thoughts, steadier energy, more reliable digestion, deeper, more restorative sleep. Not because they are trying harder or they have tried harder, but because the system feels contained. So, here is a simple way to apply this Ayurvedically. Once a day, pause briefly and ask, what would help settle my system right now? Not what you should do, not what looks disciplined, not what the schedule demands, but what would reduce excess movement right now. You might notice the need for warmth, food, rest, quiet, or fewer inputs. You don't need to act immediately. Just the act of noticing already starts to reduce Vata. When body feels acknowledged, it stops escalating its signals. Over time, this question rebuilds trust between you and your body. Your diet and lifestyle changes do contribute. Herbs and bodywork can be very useful as well, but they all start from awareness. So, mindfulness through Ayurveda is not about refining awareness as a mental skill. It is about restoring stability in a system that has learned to live in constant motion and alertness. Vata is not the enemy, it is essential for life. But when it is uncontained, the body cannot heal. When awareness brings rhythm, Vata settles. And when Vata settles, health begins to feel less effortful and more natural. If this perspective resonates, let it sit with you. Notice where life could become slightly slower, warmer, or more predictable. And if you would like support in working with Ayurveda in a practical, grounded way, I would be glad to guide you. Thank you for listening.